Good afternoon, folks. Good evening, folks. Or afternoon, wherever you are from watching this. And tonight, we're going to talk about where the new top 25 of how they all managed to play this game. Alright. First off, we're going to go down all the way down to 25. Number 1 is Texas. Number 2 is Georgia. Number 3, Ohio State. Number 4, Alabama, who stayed right where they were. Texas moved up 1, Georgia went down 1. Number 5, Ole Miss, who stayed right where they were. Tennessee moved up 1. Number 7, Missouri went down 1. Number 8, Miami went up 2. Oregon stayed in place as at number 9. Number 10, Penn State went down 2. USC stayed even at 11. And so did number 12, Utah. Kansas State moved up 1 from 14th to 13th. Oklahoma State moved down 1 to 14th. Oklahoma remained at 15th. LSU remained at 16th. Notre Dame moved up to 17th. While Michigan took third place at 18th. Louisville remained at 19th. Iowa State moved up to 21st. Clemson moved up to 20th. Excuse me, I said that wrong. While Clemson moved up to 21st. Nebraska moved up 1 to 22nd. Northern Illinois moved up 2 to 23rd. Illinois moved up to 24th, and then Texas A&M moved up to 25th. So there you have it, your new numbers. Okay, but how did they do getting there? Is the question. Well, let's look at how some of the teams before we even get there. Ole Miss, coming off a good stomping, 40-6 at number 5. That was a good game. Now, you have some other good teams. They got Georgia Southern next. Ole Miss does. But now, you look at other teams such as Texas A&M. Teams that had a bye was Iowa State, Penn State, USC, Ohio State. They all had byes, while Northern Illinois, who has plenty of time to prepare for Buffalo, while USC has plenty of time to prepare for Michigan, and Penn State has plenty of time to prepare for Kent State. Now, with that being said, these teams, let's go through their final scores. Texas, who won 56-7 against UTSA. Good win. Next game, they'll take on Louisiana Monroe. Looks like they shouldn't have any issues there. And then Georgia, Kentucky really exposed Georgia. That was literally almost an upset there. Literally almost an upset. And now they got to travel to Alabama, which will be on the 28th. Alabama has a bye. They have a bye. Georgia has a bye week, while Alabama and Georgia both have bye weeks to prepare. And then Wisconsin, then Ohio State plays Marshall. Then Wisconsin and Alabama. Alabama pretty much manhandled Wisconsin, but then again, Wisconsin was making some strides, but they just couldn't capitalize on certain mistakes that they made, and Wisconsin was just making mistakes left and right, and Alabama was capitalizing on those mistakes. So, Georgia will have an entertaining game with Kentucky. Not with Kentucky, but with Alabama. But that Kentucky game with Georgia was a lackluster performance, I thought, by Georgia. I thought they'd be doing better, but considering they're number 1. But hats off to Georgia. They played a good game. Next, you have Ole Miss, who won 40-6. I thought they did That was a good game. Now you have Tennessee, who stomped Kent State 71-0. Actually, Ole Miss, they'll take on Georgia Southern. Shouldn't be nothing. But now you got Texas, Tennessee, and Oklahoma. After their stomping of Kent State, that'll be a good game. I look forward to that being something to watch there. Now, Boston College took on Missouri, and that was literally a very good game. But Missouri ended up coming away with a 27-21 win over Boston College. They'll take on Vanderbilt next, so that'll be a good game. Now, Miami had no issues with Ball State, 62-0. They'll take on South Florida. Now, Oregon, who I thought was literally overrated, finally showed some strength and finally showed they belonged to where they were, probably. Winning 49-14 against a very good Oregon State team. I mean, I literally thought this would be a close game considering they've been struggling the past several times. UCLA, who's 20, they'll take on, they have a bye week to prepare for UCLA, who struggled mightily against Indiana, who I think will eventually, maybe not, if not this year, but maybe a few years down the road, might get into the top 25. But this year, I think they might have a chance. Now, Penn State, they will have a chance to take on Kent State, but they got to prove to me that they're actually a good team because they literally, after a 34-27 win against Bowling Green, that's going to be a good game to watch because Bowling Green literally almost proved to be an upset. They almost upset Penn State, so that's going to be a good one. Now, USC and Michigan, I can only imagine what USC will do to Michigan. I can only imagine. It's just, unless Michigan comes prepared and actually wants to win. Now, Utah took pretty much good care of, Oklahoma took care of Utah State 38-21. Their next game is Oklahoma State. Now, Kansas State, they're number 12. Now, Kansas State, they took good care of Arizona 31-7. And I mean, they took care of business. Now, Oklahoma State, they pretty much took care of business with Tulsa, 45-10. And Oklahoma, they pretty much bombarded Tulane, 34-19. Now, LSU and South Carolina, that was a very tight game from start to finish. 36-33. Very good game there by South Carolina. They face off with UCLA next week, so that'll be a good game to watch. Now, Notre Dame, they proved to be the big winner this time at Purdue, winning 66-7. They will host Miami of Ohio, a MAC team. Now the question is, do they have what it takes to win it all out instead of sleeping on anybody? I don't know. I mean, they slept on Northern Illinois and got beat 16-14. Now who knows what Miami of Ohio has? Then you have Arkansas State and Michigan. Michigan, another, I don't even know what to call it. A lackluster performance. Only winning 28-18. They host USC at home. This will be I'm almost afraid to even say this. I don't want to jinx it. But I feel like this will be another lackluster performance by Michigan because they're lucky they missed 2 field goal opportunities. This would have still been a win, but it would have been a lot closer than what we all would have said. Well, more about that here in just a moment when I'm done with the rest of the teams. Then Louisville, the 49. Louisville 49, Jacksonville State 14. Louisville will take on Georgia Tech this week. Iowa State will take on Arkansas State this week. So that'll be some good sign. Then Clemson will take on who pretty much annihilated Appalachian State 66-20, will take on North Carolina State. Then Nebraska, who pretty much destroyed Northern Iowa 34-3, will host Illinois. Will take on Illinois. Then Northern Illinois takes on Buffalo, the same team that demolished, that disappointed, that laid a big disappointment flag on Notre Dame. Will take on Buffalo. Then you have Illinois, who pretty much took care of business with Central Michigan, winning 30-9, just like the Nebraska. We just mentioned the Nebraska game, so that'll be a good game there. And then Texas A&M, who pretty much took care of business with Florida, winning 33-20, will host Bowling Green. So that'll be a good game, because considering Bowling Green literally almost upset Penn State, question is, do they have what it takes to beat Texas A&M? Because Texas A&M because they literally had it what it took to beat Penn State, or is just Penn State overrated? That's the question you gotta ask yourself. Is Penn State overrated, or is Texas A&M just not good, or is Texas A&M not good? Just good, they just underrated. That's something you need to ask yourself on that one. Now back to my Michigan thing here. Arkansas State missed 2 field goals. They missed early. They could have taken an early 3-0 lead. But then Michigan would have had a 7-3 lead going into the second quarter. But it's just a thing where Michigan was ahead 28-3. Then a touchdown to make it 28-10. Then a touchdown and 2-point conversion, 28-18. That's all it pretty much all came down to. But Michigan, who had plenty of opportunity to win the game, failed to capitalize on a lot of things to pretty much will put the game out of water. You can try to say that, yeah, Michigan fans keep on saying the second string was out there at some point in the second half. Well, honestly, I don't believe you. Being ahead as much as you were, 21-3 at halftime. If I was your head coach, I would not put the second string in until we were ahead 42-3. Then I would probably start thinking about putting my second string in. That's literally how I would do it. Now, Arkansas State. Did not. I mean, their 2 wins, they could have kicked 2 field goals. If they made both their field goals earlier, 28, field goal there makes it 28-21. Another field goal makes it 24. Arkansas State only loses 28-24 if those 2 field goals were actually made. And then Michigan literally is throwing their arms up like, what happened here? Now you gotta ask yourself, and another thing that I looked through literally all of Michigan's stats I could find to see if there was ever a person, another quarterback that could ever throw a completed pass, has ever never had an incomplete pass in their career. I've yet to find one. Now, here we have it. We have a person here. Finally, I think we finally met our match. Walk-on Davis Warren, number 16, went 11 of 11 for 122 yards. But the 11 of 14 for 122 yards, the other 314 passes were not incomplete passes though. Those were interceptions. So technically, they were all completed passes, but just not to the right players. I've never seen a player so good passing. He's accurate, but it's not to the right players. So, congratulations on your accuracy throwing there. Just learn how to throw it to the right players. Now, Alex Orji, on the other hand, went 2 of 4, 2 incomplete passes. So, those about the only two incomplete passes that were actually thrown all game long. And he had 1 touchdown, so I tip my hat to him. The other one was just an incomplete pass, so it seems like the only time he ever does throw is when it's a touchdown, when he is confident that it's going to be a touchdown. And that's when they ever went to him, is when they only put him in when they knew it was ever going to work out. So, now you got to start asking yourself, if you're a Michigan fan, are we ever going to really... Do we have what it takes to beat a ranked opponent? Can we step up and actually play very strong and actually legitimately beat a good ranked opponent? Because if you do, you might actually have something to talk about. Because right now, USC is ranked 11th. You're ranked 18th. If you can't beat USC, then you might as well just say you're screwed. If you can't beat USC, we might as well say Auf Wiedersehen to the top 25. I understand this is only your 4th game this year, but you might as well start saying Auf Wiedersehen if you can't get past this round, because I've seen a lot of teams play really good football, and right now I'm seeing teams that I haven't seen on here in a long time literally make it on here, and pretty much will put the footprint on here saying, hey, we earned it. Aside from the cheating scandal that you're being accused of, I might see who deserves to be on here and who doesn't. Now, tomorrow we're going to have a new discussion about who deserves to be on here and who doesn't. Who deserves to be in the top 25 and who doesn't. Now, with that being said, I'm out of here. Hit the like bell and hit the button. Hit the like button and hit the bell for notifications. And with that being said, I'm out of here. Peace.